Now you have some blueprint from a key block. First step you do before you do plan color is one of the blueprint. I want you to use some color pencil. It can be watercolor, but watercolor can be maybe bleeding onto a Japanese paper. So maybe color pencil is probably more suited. But I want you to make some color sample like this. Okay, when you do that, I don't want you to make too many colors. I want you to limit your color to the only 3 more colors. Okay, black is there. So it can be just blue, and then it can be yellow, and it can be something like brown or red. Okay, in that case, you are adding 3 colors, and some green can be achieved by combination of blue and yellow, for example. Does it make sense? Okay, so I want you guys to do some color envisioning how you're gonna introduce colors at this point, all right? And this will be actually posted before Thursday class. Okay, so that's one thing I want you to post before Thursday class. Okay, and after that, after Thursday, I want you to do next step. So this is a blueprint on tracing paper. And I think it's better you can go on the back side and lay another sheet of tracing paper. Shoot it upside down. Okay, going like that. And you can just start to add yellow to think about where yellow goes. I can just add some yellow, but yellow can be underneath of black because black is stronger and darker, and yellow won't show. Okay, so means you don't have to avoid underneath of black. The yellow can actually be there. Does it make sense? Okay, so when you do this, yellow can take over a lot of places because that's light color and doesn't have to be carved out. Does it make sense? Same thing, you can start to cover other colors. Let me just tape it so it doesn't move. Some colors can come out, doesn't have to be totally lined up. For me, when I do the shadow, my blue shadow is bigger than black shadow. So I normally have my black shadow slightly smaller and blue shadow taking over a little bit bigger space.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you do this, think about yellow plate is where you don't want to have a yellow, means probably you want to cover area, you want to have white. And also you don't want to have a yellow underneath of the blue to create a blue sky. I mean, green sky. You don't have a green sky, so probably you're gonna carve out a yellow where you wanna have a blue. Okay, but then other colors go out like this. This is brown. I decided to use a brown rather than magenta this time, and blue on top of it like this. Let's look at where the blue is. My blue is underneath of black. So it means I'm not gonna be trying to carve out underneath of black from blue plate. The reason is if you try to make a blue carved out, then you may have a chance to create white lines, okay? So because your registration may not be always totally lined up and perfect, little bit of shift creates some inked area showing out. So it's to be safer, each color has a little bit overlap. Does it make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, this is something you talk about, something called a trapping. Darker color can trap lighter color. Okay, so your color fields shouldn't be exactly touching to each other. They should be actually overlapping. Does it make sense? Okay, so otherwise you create a lot of white lines everywhere and become so frustrating. Okay, but that means your carving become more minimal. You don't have to carve as much as you envision. Your key block will have most information, means a lot of detail. Other color blocks are probably very much color field and not too much details. Okay, so that's something you have to envision. So my green part here has overlapping of yellow and blue, and the orange area has like overlapping of the brown and yellow underneath. Okay, and of course blue sky should be blue by itself, no yellow underneath. Okay, so you have to be thinking a little bit of those strategies ahead. Now, I'm already having those 4 blocks being offset transferred. So my black block, I already offset it 1, 2, 3 surfaces. Okay. It was a little bit difficult to offset print from this to this side because ink was still wet, right? That's the most, little bit of confusing time. But I managed to offset transfer to 3 blocks. Okay, so now I have 3 blocks to carve for color field. Okay, now I recommend you guys to decide which one goes to which color. This one, I'm printing a yellow first. I'm gonna carve the yellow block first. After you do the first impression, you have some residue of a yellow ink here, and so it becomes evident. But before you do a first impression, it's always confusing. So I will mark which side is what for what color. Okay, you see the arrow and the Y here, right? Okay, so let's do a little bit of a carving demo here. I don't know if you can see well. This is a yellow. Okay, so anyway, what I'm trying to do is, it's very light on this one, so probably you cannot see it, my yellow drawing here. If you want to make sure you are doing something right, you could be adding that color here, so you know where you want to have a yellow. Okay, probably that's something easy for you to remember. Wherever you add yellow is where you don't want to carve. Does it make sense? Right? Because this is yellow block. Right? So you're gonna be carving area you do not have any yellow on this block. Right? So I'm gonna be carving the sky. Obviously, sky, I don't want to have yellow. Right? So I'm gonna be carving this one. And where I carve, I like to have a yellow here actually, a little bit here. So I'm not gonna carve here. So I'm gonna just carve the sky between those wood. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna carve sky, but I'm gonna expand my sky a little bit. Remember trapping? I want to make the sky actually slightly going over the wooden structure. Just in order to avoid any white line as a of registration. Am I showing my head or just am I showing that? Am I showing my head or am I showing the block?
The block.
But knowing that black will be covering this area slightly, I'm expanding that white blue sky a little bit bigger than original size on the block. Okay? I'm gonna cover a little bit more here. I'm not gonna go all this detail on this block. I'm gonna just carve everything out here. You see this little structure here? You don't want to avoid those, because if you try to avoid those and then you're going to have another color over, you may create some white lines in between. Okay? So right now, I'm just going to take very simple shape here. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of ignoring those details, because black will be printed over here, so I don't have to worry about some detail. If every plate has detail, that's gonna be very difficult to line up. So your color field should be somehow simple enough so you don't have to worry about exactly lining up between plates. I don't know, I'm making sense or not. Say if you are making one shape of yellow like this, right? Right? And then if you are trying to have another shape of, say if we want to have another shape of black right next to it, like that. It's good to overlap a little bit. Black should be overlapping the color field. That's called trapping. Does it make sense? I'm saying this, if you have this color and then if you have another color, but the shape is exactly here. In case this is a little bit shifted, you end up to be having this shape here, like that. And then yellow will be just here. Then you end up to be having this kind of white line instead in between. That's, I'm talking about white line. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that something covering on top of it should be a little bit bigger. That is called trapping. So a little bit of misregistration doesn't matter as much. Okay, so typically the darker color should be slightly bigger than lighter color, so you can comfortably overlap. Okay, so for just a simple explanation is, don't go into too much detail of each color field, because if you want to try to make all these details here, eventually you have to make very good registration to make exactly matching up. And probably that will be very rare to be exactly matching up. Okay, so that's why I'm ignoring some of the details here. I'm gonna just introduce the more simple color field.